Here we're going to go. And we should be ready to go. So, hello everyone. Welcome to a Saturday edition on the Joshua Fast podcast. I hope anyone that does listen to this knows that I'm very, very tired, but I'm very excited to have this interview session with Mr. Cory Hofing. Cory plays in the drum session from the Crimson Shadows. I just listened to a certain few songs from his band, and the genre is basically a power metal, but also kind of like a death metal element into it. And I gotta say, it's been really decent. It kind of felt like a little bit of a Dragon Force equity in it, but also had a bit of death metal tone into it as well when it comes to vocals, or maybe like the double kicks drumming as well. So it kind of brings back a little bit of memories when I was a teenager for listening to Dragon Force most of the time when it comes to power metal feelings. Cory, how are you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. It's Saturday afternoon here in Canada, so
yep.
I'm just outside of Toronto, out in the boonies, and just having my second whiskey of the day. So
I mean, you got the time off, so you can have much whiskey as you want, my friend. While I am gonna have to make sure I don't get a hangover and just drink water out of this dumbbell bottle, and just make sure I'm hydrated through tomorrow's shift, where I'm just doing a late shift, but it shouldn't be a problem because I go from the lie-in tomorrow. But yeah, so how's things going on with you, basically?
Things have been good, man. A little off and on. I'm not used to having this much time off of work and off of like a regular schedule. When it first started, like I kind of like told myself, I'm like, okay, I need to be up by this time. I need to be in my studio. I need to be getting work done. Yep. But then I kind of lost track of that, and kind of playing it day to day. Me and my girlfriend have been doing yoga every day, though.
Oh, really?
So that's been good motivation. Nice. To get out of bed at least. And yeah, it's been something that we both of us have kind of wanted to do for a while, and then now we're staying on it and doing it every single day, about 30 minutes of yoga. It's nice. You got to have a little bit of a workout and stuff in there, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, before the COVID-19 came into play, I used to go to the gym until this whole thing broke down. So 4 months of working out I would say almost every morning, I just go to the gym first thing in the morning and just make sure I just get my workout done. Not just in that mindset, but also get out of the bed first thing in the morning, just have that mindset as well, that you can do anything if you wake up early hours in the morning. I mean, my job, which is retail, they do morning shifts twice a week, but I have done it more than enough. But basically, I would wake up about maybe 4 or 4:30 in the morning, and it is very, very quiet. It's very nice to get that peaceful mind going through, just, have that good energy coming through as well before you actually go to work, where I just go to work about, let's just say 5:30, and then I start about 6 o'clock in the morning and then finish about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where now I've been doing more late shifts, which is originally about 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 11 o'clock at night, until this COVID-19 came into play. It's basically just like an hour setback, so it's kind of like 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., which is not bad. But
no,
I would have loved the idea of doing an idea of just coming to the Fox and Hub Thursday session while I was just finishing work, and then just have the day off on Fridays. But unfortunately, that's never going to happen. And obviously, I'm having my moments of just staying up ridiculous hours in the morning and have less hours of sleep on the Thursday to Friday morning, and then just go to have a power nap, and then just go straight to bed, probably about 12 to 14 hours from Friday night to Saturday morning. So that's been very ridiculous of me, and I think Matt might have agreed that it is absolutely ridiculous of me doing this. But
yeah, that's absurd, my friend. maybe try to make it once a month, like every 4 weeks, like do it. But yeah, man, it's Yeah, especially when you have to work, it's a little much.
Oh yeah,
They are a lot of fun though, man. What you should
yeah.
start doing is just recording the whole thing, and
Mm.
then you can rewatch it and pretend you're there.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be nice, but I think Matt is gonna have those copyright strikes where he'd be like, "Hey, you can't have any of that shit. At least you give me some commission," and I'll be like, "Well, I don't have any money to give you." I love
Yeah.
Matt, and I hope he's doing all right, you know. And everyone who has been joining Fox and Hub's Thursday sessions, it's been absolutely a privilege to join. I've met you in the Thursday sessions. I've met
Hmm.
many other people. I've probably known more than 40 people or something more than that. And I thought that's just amazing, you know. And it's giving me a new line of friends as
Yeah.
well. And I'm sure that's giving you some new lines of friends as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even like some of my friends that I haven't seen or talked to in a long time, I hopped on the first time I think was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, four
And it
weeks.
was like, oh my God, like Grant and Nat are good friends. And there's been a couple other people in there. But I had to take this past Thursday off.
Mm.
It was just I was so beat, and every time I just get so wasted. I was like, I sit there and just drinking with everybody, and me and my girlfriend Maya just like get really into it, and it was just too much. This week I was like, I need one day off.
I think if I remember correctly, it was the last week one where you was completely drinking a lot of our IPA craft beers, and you was just like, "Yeah, I'm enjoying this," you know. And I thought it's awesome and it's funny as well, you know. And I can't forget that. That's for sure.
Yeah, last week there 2 weeks ago there, yeah, I was drinking a lot of craft beer, and the 2 weeks or the week before that one, I was
Yeah.
drinking Old Mill Ice the whole time, and I think we drank like close to 20
Oh Jesus.
beers in that time frame. Yeah, we put them back pretty good, but so I don't know, but
No, that was
it's good
crazy.
times.
But
I'm on the whiskey now. I'm trying to get off the beer. I'm on the
would
whiskey.
would you say whiskey is your favorite alcoholic drink?
As far as hard liquor, yeah, I'd say whiskey. Either 40 Creek, which is a Canadian rye whiskey,
Okay.
or um, Bushmills, which is an Irish whiskey.
Okay.
Those are like my two favorite whiskeys. I love vodka and tequila.
Tequila.
The only thing I don't like, which is big in my house, is gin. I
Really?
can't. I've had a couple of nice gin and tonics, and even people that have made them, like everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's so good," and I'm like, it just doesn't do anything. Maybe it's like a piney taste, or I
Mm.
don't know what it is, but I like my clear liquors to just taste like alcohol.
Yeah.
Know?
Oh yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, I'm not really a big alcoholic drinker at all. Pretty much, it's due to my past history of my family, but I'm not going to mention that on the podcast because you know nobody needs to know all that. But
Hmm.
basically, I've been pretty much like a straight edge type of guy until I got maybe 21. I started to get a bit of knowing alcohol a little bit, where I actually got wasted, vomited everywhere, and you know that was my first experience. But now, because thanks to Matt, I've had this little motivation to actually know a bit more of IPA craft beers, where I've been drinking like fruity craft beers, not like I don't know if it's just fruity, but I'm sure there's a mixture of variety of IPA beers. I know there's some pale ales and stuff for sure, but fruit has always been my type of memo when it comes to like drinks or anything. Like I've drank dark fruit cider or anything from Strongbow. Even though I stay away from like lagers or anything like that. So IPA has been pretty much my go to drink if anybody recommends a beginning type of drink, or just stick to alcohol free like IPA beer or alcohol lagers. Like I know there's some companies that do that. Even Matt mentioned about Randy Blage's Ghost Walker IPA craft beer, and I'm from Brewdog, and I thought that'd be really cool for me to try and maybe get one or two and just try to taste it and see what it's like. Just get the
Absolutely, man.
experience.
I every now and again I'll know I'll need a break,
Yeah.
and I'll go and get like a 12 pack from the grocery store or something like that of non-alcoholic,
Mm.
like Grolsch or something like that. It's not great,
Mm.
But I drink really quickly, so
Really?
I end up like getting really wasted really quick. It becomes a problem. So with that
Mm.
stuff, at least I can still be drinking beer, but I don't end up getting wasted. And it's actually a good friend of mine, a fellow drummer from the band Centuries of Decay,
Okay.
Derek. I hung out with him probably 3 or 4 months ago, and he's just like, yeah, I'm not drinking like alcohol anymore. He's like, I was on medication and I wasn't able to drink, and then once I got off of it, I decided I'm just not gonna do it. So when he goes to a party, he gets like a 6 pack of non-alcoholic beer, and he's feeling great in the morning.
No,
Like,
it's great.
he's still drinking, and he'll take the same bottles and fill them up with water. And then so it's still like he's drinking a beer, but it's just water. So he's actually hydrating after.
Yeah,
Because a lot of
exactly.
us, it's just that action, and it's just that
Mm.
like social
It's a social
atmosphere, right?
experience. Yeah, exactly. Social activity to do something like hanging out with your friends and make sure you're actually having a good time.
Yeah.
I think for me, it doesn't really matter if you just drink alcohol or non-alcoholic, beverages, but you got to make sure you have a good time with your friends and your family, regardless. Unless they push you, then you really are going to lose your experience and fun whatsoever. Um, but
Now,
that's
speaking of which, I'm pouring a little more whiskey into my glass now. We cracked this bottle yesterday
oh yeah.
around this time, and I got like maybe one more drink left in it.
Love it, man.
So yeah, well,
Uh,
we had a fun time. It was good. Me and my girlfriend just getting wasted. So
no, that's.
oh well.
I mean, that's always a good thing to do. You just need that alone time some to actually not just socialize with friends all the time, but just be with each other. And like if you was
Mhm.
actually was going to go dating or just going to have somewhere to eat, or just go to cinema, something like that. But you're just staying at home. It's always a good thing to do. There's no restrictions or anything like that whatsoever.
Oh, absolutely, man. I don't know. I've been enjoying this time. It's been a long time since I've had time off. Like, I don't take
Wow.
vacations. My vacation time from work is always spent on tour.
Mm,
And so, like, the fact that I've had like close to 2 months, like, of
that's
just
crazy.
off, like I'm not doing anything, but I don't really like to do things anyways. It's never been
Mm.
my thing to go to the Bahamas or anything like that. Like
Oh yeah,
me just having time to kind of decompress and also play drums a lot.
absolutely. Yeah.
I have so many projects that I've kind of taken on. As a drummer, we always play in like 18 different bands.
Mm.
I've kind of dumbed them down. When this whole thing started, I was like talking to so many different people about doing projects like and now all of them I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't really have time. I need to get the Crimson Shadows has a new record that we're going to start
Okay.
full production, so I'm trying to like finish up the pre-production. And having this time, I had all the drum parts mapped out, but
Mm.
then now I'm sitting down at the kit and I'm just like, I've been working on my skills a little more, and I'm just like, how can I change this part? What if I put a blast over this part instead of just like a regular beat? And
Yep.
like just I've just been having a lot more time to sit down and think about the record and think
Mm.
about the part and the lyrical content and everything
Sure.
about it. So this and like we have had this record pretty much written for about 3 years now, and finally we are getting the chance to record it and still figuring out the exact details on where we're going to get it mixed and everything. But like it's actually coming together because now we have the time. Before we didn't. Like everyone's working full time.
Yeah.
It's not like we jam because we were a touring band, so we kind of got into like we had a couple years where we're on the road so much we like stopped regular rehearsals,
Hmm.
and we would just rehearse before a tour and then go be on the road for a month, 2 months, and then come back, and then a couple weeks before the next one, like, all right, what's our set list? All right, go over all the songs at home, and then we jam, and then that's it, right?
Mm.
um the weird thing for me right now is I do play in another band called Johnny No Cash and the Celtic Outlaws.
Okay.
And we had a tour out east that was canceled due to COVID-19. It was supposed to start April 18th, I
Okay.
believe. It was starting going all the way up to Newfoundland and back. So we had flights that we had to cancel
Mm,
and everything like that. But we rehearsed at least once or twice a week.
sure.
And we're starting to get into writing a new record. And it's been a little more difficult because some of the guys aren't as well, they live in Toronto, like downtown in apartments. So like our vocalist can't really like sing very loud. He has a small recording setup, but like
Yeah.
we're trying to do writing, but it's just not like working as well because we do a lot in the jam space. We work things out as a unit together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so now that we're starting to open up a little more around Ontario and everything. I'm hoping to get those guys up here to MySpace, and we can start laying down some tracks, and we can record like an entire jam, multi-tracked here. So and then we can listen back to it, and we can figure out parts that way. Because I don't think we'll have access to our actual rehearsal space in Toronto. So yeah, it's been really difficult that way because we had a lot of big things planned heading into the summer, and we've had to cancel at least I think 20 shows because of this.
Wow.
And it's big for us because we were in Michigan recording a couple singles a couple months before this in February, and then now like we can't shoot music videos for them. Um, like our mixing and mastering stages are kind of uh, being prolonged
Yeah.
because those guys don't I don't know, maybe they don't have access to certain things, and it's just it's caused some trouble that way. We are still working hard on things and trying to figure out our next step because we don't know how long this is going to take. But if you haven't checked us out, yeah, Johnny No Cash and the Celtic Outlaws, it's Death Country.
Okay.
So it's what happens when four metalheads attempt to write country.
And I'm sure many people are just going to turn it off straight away. But no, I'll definitely give it a listen once it comes out, or if it's out, I'll just
Yeah,
listen to some of the music. You know.
we have two EPs out right now. One from 2017, one from 2018, I think. No, 2018, 2019, maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I'm drunk. Uh, yeah, we got a couple music videos and stuff like that. Like, yeah, check it out. I we have a huge following of metalheads. Like most of our local scene and stuff is metalheads. It's either metalheads or country fans. We're just our live show is where we really shine. We were actually in Germany um, last September, and we were planning on going back and
Mm,
trying to hit the UK as well,
wow.
and France, and we were talking to some bigger rock festivals and stuff,
Mm,
trying to make something happen. But obviously, we're not heading overseas this year just because of everything that's going on.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
hopefully next year we can make something happen. Everything, our fans are just so dedicated; it's insane. Like I just can't believe it. I've never
I
experienced anything like it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to like metal community, not just like the mainstream metal community fans, but also the underground music metalhead community, they're always going to be supportive to like listen to metal or any type of variety of the metal genre. That people are just going to be supportive. I know, for God forbid me, I know many times there are going to be people that are going to criticize and just dislike certain type of music and certain type of genre from certain bands. You know, they, like I mentioned about earlier about Dragon Force, where there's a lot of people that don't like them, and that's completely acceptable. You know, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to have your own music taste. There's no judgment out there. Just don't be a dickhead when people like it and you're just trying to ruin the experience for them, because at the end of the day they're going to have a bit more open-minded of a music mind compared to what you might have, that it's kind of like a closed-minded where you just prefer a specific taste and a specific music variety, and that's all that matters. Just don't ruin up people's opportunities or other people's taste, because it matters to some people. Like for myself, I listen to not just metal. I listen to jazz. I listen to blues. I listen to like chill music. I've got that mind where I just want to explore. And, I do listen to a little bit of rap. I do listen to a bit of hip hop. Anything that gives me a beat, I would definitely give it a listen. I would definitely say if it's worth it or not. But I wouldn't be like an ass and be like, for a big paragraph, and be like, why it does not really matter, because those type of people just ruin it for other people, and you're just going to make yourself look like an idiot at the end of the day. But no, related about this, all the touring that you was going to try and post, and you was going to do music videos and stuff. It's tough because all the bands are likely to be in the same position as well. It's really, really outbreaking situation. I definitely know for a fact we are not going to be having good shows until at least 2021 or 2022. That's kind of like the estimated realistic type of time. And the thing is, there's been, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's been reports about the new safety procedures when it comes to gigs, how people need to not do stage diving, don't go anywhere near the pits. They got to stay in a 2-meter box. They can't do anything reckless. They can't contact with other people face to face, or try to be hugging them or whatever. You just got to stay in your box. And I'm sure for a fact when it comes to specific venues, they're going to limit the capacity by half or even less. It's just going to make it bad for promoters, because as I mentioned about my podcast, is for the underground scenery, promoters that do underground music shows in the scenery are going to be struggling the most, because they don't provide that much income, and they're relying most of their money from their day-to-day jobs, and that's going to be hard enough if they don't get the money for it, and especially if they don't have the money to pay for their bills, their rent. Their life is on the line more than the mainstream media and the mainstream promoters, where they have the opportunity to splash out the cash, like put on a big Metallica show for 3 hours, and people going to oversell the ticket prices so quickly because it's Metallica. Where you don't go to see a show like, I don't know, Cryptopsy, where it probably like 10 Canadian dollars and don't do a sold out. And it's going to be a very tough break for the promoters to make sure the show can't happen again, because they can't rely on the fans to do it. So really, I'm going to ask this next question is basically, when it comes to like this local scenery, as you just mentioned on just a touchy bit, is there really a good local scenery in Canada? And if so, how do you think it's going to be more important when it comes to after this COVID-19 situation to keep this impact going, to make sure that all the shows are going to be hitting on the sales,
Well, definitely, I think Toronto is like the closest scene to me. It's what I grew up with, and I lived in Toronto for a couple years and got to know the scene a little closer. And even this bar right here, Coalition,
yeah,
they're not around anymore, and they definitely wouldn't be even through this. But that was like a hub for anyone from metal, punk, goth, anyone in the alternative music scene to go to. And like no matter what, you felt at home. And Toronto doesn't really have that anymore. I feel, anyways. Bovine Sex Club is the only place, and I've never felt at home there, like I did at Coalition. But as far as our like more predominant like metal scene, Nourish Entertainment is our main promoter. Noel Peters. I'm hoping that he's doing okay through this.
Yeah,
because I know that he's a full-time promoter.
really.
And like he does everything, and metal, a little bit of rock and some punk shows, but like mainly he does all the metal shows, up to like 1,500 capacity venues in Toronto. I think everything kind of above that, like the amphitheater stuff, is all done by Live Nation. which they'll be fine. I just read an article that they still bringing in money. Like they'll be okay.
Yeah.
But guys like Noel, and even going lower than that, we have another neurotic entertainment, Karina, and I know that like because I've played so many shows for her and other small time promoters and stuff.
Sure.
Like I know there's not really a lot of money to be made, and if you're putting like 5 or 6 shows on a month, and maybe you make a little bit of money off like 1 or 2 of them, but you're losing money on the other ones.
Yeah.
So for those people though, I think that they're just kind of at a standstill right now. It was never their moneymaker. It was always just trying to support bands, trying to, keep the underground local scene alive. So as much as like it may be hurting them, it financially it was never like overly profitable. No. So our local scene is very strange here in Toronto though, because there is like a big like true metal type of scene, but then you also have like, because the GTA is so close, so you have like a scene that is in the core of people that live in Toronto, but then we have so many small towns that are within driving distance. So the big shows, like when Cattle Decapitation came last time, like it was packed. Like I'm pretty sure it's sold out at the Opera House, which I think is an 850 capacity venue.
Okay.
And but we have people from all over, even people coming from London, really? Which is like a 2-hour drive. So like our scene in Toronto is built on everybody from Southern Ontario, really. But it's I think it's good. I hope that everyone's gonna get through this okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I honestly I don't know how this is all gonna pan out. I don't, because there's no way in hell that they are gonna open bars and tell us that we all have to stand 2 meters apart. Like it's just, there's no way that you can go to a metal show, and I'll stand by Randy on this one. Like there's no way that you can go to a metal show and tell people you're not allowed to mosh and you're not allowed to cheers your buddy. Like that's why we go. That's why we do it, because of that camaraderie and because like we're all like so stoked to just, like about metal and about these bands, like that until we were able to do that, there's not a chance. Like no. I don't even want to put myself in that situation. Like I won't go until I know that it's a comfortable thing, because I don't want to be put in a situation where I'm not allowed. I'm told I'm not allowed to do this and that, and so I just won't. I just won't do it.
No.
The cool thing is though, hopefully once they start opening bars, now Crimson Shadows will play like bigger clubs and stuff, but Johnny No Cash, we're used to playing like to like 20, 30 people in a bar, like a small bar. So I'm hoping we can get back out and start doing some bar gigs. It probably not until 2021, but I'm gonna see how it goes. I do feel like there's gonna be another big outbreak in the fall. People get comfortable through the summer, and then in the fall, as soon as weather starts to get cold again, like boom, it's gonna hit even harder than it did before.
Yeah, I agree. I think I spoke to various customers for the past few weeks, and I know I'm not supposed to go political at work, but I have been, because it's kind of like my own feelings and my own opinion. If management doesn't like it, then you can't just stop people having their own voice out of things. But I agree. I think there is going to be a spike. I think there's going to be another outbreak, and I think this one is going to get much, much worse. Now, I live in a housing association where there's 31 people in this whole studio building departments. Now, there's like four rooms in one block building, another one. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Now, so 31 people, including myself. We're used to work. We used to get like income. We used to do a lot of things, have socialization with friends, neighbors, whatsoever. Now we've been told not to try and socialize with anybody, which most people are going to, or a very few people are just ignoring the rules. I've been sticking to the rules because, first of all, I'm being exposed at work. Secondly, I don't want to get exposed by the neighbors. And thirdly, if they get in trouble, it's not my business. I'm staying away from it. But the worst thing is, since this outbreak, 26 people have been furloughed or lost their jobs. Five people remaining, including myself, have got work, and we're all retail workers. And we are the ones that have to go out and make sure we're the key workers. We got to work to survive our nation, and make sure everyone are safe and healthy and everything. While we're getting exposed, we have to work for the poor, and it's just the economy bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm not like up to date on all world things, but has the UK done anything to like as far as people with unemployment and everything like that, so they can pay their bills? Because here in Canada, we get $2,000 a month. If you're out of work, you get $2,000 a month, which barely covers my like food and bills.
Yeah,
like,
I can understand
barely
that.
scraping by.
Yeah.
So especially
when it comes
with drinking beer and
oh
whiskey.
man, I can understand it's a big expense, but when it comes to UK expenses, I'm gonna have to say, if you're unemployed, you're entitled to like housing benefit, where you can just get money off from the tax people, and it's just like it's all bullshit. Basically, you don't have to really go for work. Universal credit is kind of like the same scheme, where you just get like a few more extra money out of it as well, and us, like myself, have to pay the tax, and the tax money goes straight to them. So basically, I'm just struggling, and they get the free money. But the catch is they're gonna have to have good conditions to make sure they got the reason why they need the money. Like basically they are unemployed. If, like, say for example, they are employed or unemployed, but they're actually employed as well, trying to get more money, they get screwed basically, and they don't get that money. But the other things are we just got lifted off this lockdown. Like we were supposed to be out of this lifted procedure. It's so stupid. I don't think we should have been out of this lifted procedure. I think we should have stayed locked down, personally, in my opinion, because there was a video, in fact, actually, from a few people from London. There was a whole anti-riot crowd basically saying our freedom matters, not staying inside type of procedure. So they want to actually basically have the socialization life again. They don't care about their deaths, or they don't care about fear in their minds or anything like that. So I mean, I get the idea. They want to go out and then, socialize with their friends and families, and, travel again, and, just do what they usually do. But this whole thing, people do not understand, is this is real. This is not fake. This is not like it's a fantasy or something, or you can wake up from. This is real fucking life. And it is going to get much fucking worse. And the thing is, people are following the procedures. Like, obviously, as I'm working in retail, people need to follow these guidance and the protocols. If they don't do it, they can't come in, or they cannot get served. So they have to go somewhere else. And they're going to have to keep following the same procedures and protocols until they obey. Now, they're going to have to do that regardless. But there has been people in the beginning that have kicked off, verbally abusing staff, other people, like customers. And it's just like, that was the beginning. Now, because everything is kind of like calmed down and they're not worried about too much, whether they're not listening to the media or they are listening to the media or whatever, they're kind of like understanding it now. But I have seen people, they do go out and it's like, fuck the world, fuck the fear and everything. And it's just like, it's whatever. And I don't like it, but I've got to do my duty, and it's it's whatever. I mean, if they die, harsh for me to say this, if they die because they don't follow the procedure or the protocols, that's on them. It's not on me, because I follow my guidance.
Well, the worst part is they probably won't be the ones that die, but they will probably end up giving it to somebody who will
Yeah,
die, and that's why
exactly.
these procedures are here. Like I've been very strict, and everybody in our house. My grandmother, who is 91,
Really?
um, she lives in an apartment that's attached to our house. So
Mm.
there are things that are like we all need to kind of like make sure we're hand sanitizing when we have to go to the store, and literally
Sure.
we're just going to get groceries and alcohol, and I need my smokes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But like the first time I drove down to Toronto, I had to drop off some like a little USB key with some video footage and stuff like that to my
Mm.
band members, and I still had like my guitar player's amp and pedals that he wanted, so I just
Mm.
dropped them off. But first time I drove to Toronto was last week, and that's the first. Usually I'm there once or twice a week at least, and so it's like 2 months between doing that. Like we've been taking things very seriously in our house. I've been seeing a lot of people posting stuff about the conspiracy theories and everything like
Oh, not
that.
those
And
bullshit, man. I've heard
yeah,
people
well,
posting bullshit about, COVID-19 was caused because of 5G and everything. I'm like, no, that's not actually true. If you actually do the research properly, you can find out that, and I am going to say it, that China actually caused the COVID-19, not 5G. And if people
I don't
do,
understand how I just don't understand how 5G can cause a virus like that. Like it
I
doesn't
don't know.
compute in my head.
I know for a
Um,
fact, sorry, I know for a fact it can affect your brain cells. It can happen, but that did not cause the outbreak of this virus. Like, you cannot believe a man at a bat and be like, oh yeah, that caused the virus. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne, for fuck's sake, at the bat, and a live bat, and he survived.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I'm on the fence about everything, and I always take everything with a grain of salt,
Oh yeah,
even anything
absolutely.
that the government or media tells us, or anything I see on YouTube or Facebook or anything like
Mm,
that. So I'm always playing that in between card. I'm never going
absolutely.
to commit to anything. It's kind of like how I am religiously. Like I'm never going to commit to any religion ever, because I really don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like think with my own mind, and try to perceive things, and
Mm,
how my own situation needs to be, and I don't I don't want to put my family at risk. Even my mother, we own this house together, and she's 65, so she's in that risk range, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Even though she's like super healthy and everything,
You
but
still can get it regardless how healthy you are. That's the problem. And the thing is,
yeah.
like, my grandparents, God bless them, they are been staying inside since this whole outbreak. It's been like 2 months or 3 months now, or whatever. And
Hmm.
they've been staying inside. They've been missing us, lovely, dearly, and everything. I mean, it's supposed to be my nan's birthday this upcoming week, and fucking hell, I can't bear the fact that I'm gonna have to see her in front of her house window, and and instead of face to face, but not with the window. And I think people did not realize that it's actually emotionally tormenting, where you have to sacrifice your time to actually stay inside, to actually be safe, and for
Hmm.
everybody else's safety as well. Like, most of the friends that I know, that, like, when it comes to like male heads or whatever, they have been staying inside. They're not happy about it, and some of them got mental health issues, like myself, where I'm not. Well, I'm going to mention it, that I had panic attacks in the beginning of this outbreak at work, in the beginning of the first second weeks, and it was you. The thing is, you can't make this up. You don't know what the situation is, and you don't know how this all even began. Either way, and it's bad enough when you have to think about your family's health as well, where you could just say, oh yeah, they're going to be okay, and they could just live off of their own, but you can't do that because that's always going to be in the back of your mind regardless. And so that's going to always be a thing. But I think, as we both covered it, it's going to be another spike somewhere soon. And well, I realistically thought, even before this lift was going to happen, I thought this whole outbreak was going to be done by Christmas. And, you know, this whole thing now, the government has changed their minds and saying, oh, yeah, you know, we need to uplift this thing, not because of everybody's health, but the economy reasons. Like, they don't want to
it's all money.
admit it. Yeah.
It's all money. Money needs to be circulating in order for us in the government to survive and everything like that, right? As soon as money is just being spent on the things that are necessary rather than a bunch of shit that isn't necessary, which, yes, I do think that the entertainment industry is somewhat necessary, but at the same time, it's not essential to human life, to our survival. It really, really is not, even though that's what I've dedicated my life to. But like, I'll start farming tomorrow if that is the way that we're going, you know, like, just so I can keep on living, you know. I mean, so like, it's a lot of entitlement as well that we're seeing right now, is that the people are just very self-absorbed.
They are.
And it's sad to see. And some of my like good friends and stuff like that, some of the stuff they post, I'm just like, wow, like, all right, man, I'm not gonna like take it as that's who you are, you know, because some people post stuff just jokingly.
I'm sure, but it's sometimes you can find out the real true them when they do shit like that. You know, it's just ridiculous by any means. But I saw on Facebook, I saw a friend of mine post a timeline post on a tweet or whatever, and basically he mentioned, since today, there's been another 500 people passed away, and you know, there's people out there going to the beaches, the parks, or even just trying to protest in London, which I just mentioned about it just now. They're just thinking it's all bullshit. 500 people just fucking died, man. You can't make this up, man. By this rate, I saw a YouTube video, someone called Charlie Fanktick or whatever. He mentioned about how 7% people have passed away, and that's over 1 million people in the world.
Now there is a conspiracy against that.
I'm sure there is, yeah.
Saying that every death that takes place within a hospital, whether it be a heart attack or cancer or any other death, is being considered a COVID-19 death. Yeah. So that it plays out in the plans that the government has set, right? And I'm not against it, and I'm not. The hard part for me is that I do think that the biggest issue that we have on this planet, and like I've been talking about this for years with my close friends and everything, but I do feel like overpopulation is a thing. And I feel like nobody has been listening when it has come to the environmental issues that have been happening over the last decade. Yeah. And maybe this is just a way of the government and scientists coming together and being like, we need to figure this out or else we're all going to die. And the general population doesn't seem to give a shit. Yeah. So let's, like that's the only thing I can think of that would make sense to me that I would accept was like, all right, let's put this virus out there. It's going to kill a lot of people. We don't have wars because the next war, if an actual war is going to happen, it's going to destroy the planet. It's going to be nuclear and we're all going to die.
And that was going to be caused. That was going to be from China, apparently, because as Trump mentioned, China was going to be the next war with their president. And I thought it was just a lot of bullshit from Trump to actually have the balls to actually do something like that,
None of that's going to happen because everyone has nukes and we're all just going to send them to every country and we're all going to die. And what does that solve? And everybody can see that. Like, and nobody's that retarded to start doing that. So but I do feel like even within the first like month or like 3 weeks of us being in quarantine, you could see wildlife coming back and like into areas that were once populated by humans and
I've seen shit. I've seen a lot of videos and photos of that. It's amazing.
Like it's incredible if we all just like stop destroying this place. Like the wildlife and everything. That's like they're a part of the earth and we don't respect it in any way. And it's hard because like we're overpopulated in this place, man. We're gonna run out of resources and we need a way to kind of kill off as brutal as that sounds, kill off a certain amount of the population. Like I think Bill Burr had a special like at least like 6 or 8 years ago saying if he was president, first thing he'd do, kill 80% of the population. Because like we can't survive if we keep populating this quickly. And the fact that you can have a kid and send it out into the, you can have 5, you can have 10 kids if you want, and you don't even need to have your high school diploma. Like that's insane to me. Like I don't plan on having I don't plan on having any kids, and if I were, it would be 1, and that would be it.
Yeah, I think that would be the same. I think that'd be the same amount for me as well. I mean, I still want to have like an adult life, just to make sure I have a good life, and I do want to see like a father life with a kid, just to see them grown and just get the experience being a parent that my father could not do for me, because he was an absolute dickhead. But shout out to my dad because he is an absolute prick, and he's never gonna watch this because he doesn't know about my life. But he funny story that it was around, I think it was early this year ago, that he was trying to Facebook me, message me, trying to reclaim about starting over with a life, like a father and son life. And I just said, all due respect, you was not part of my life for the past 25 years. What's that going to accomplish now? And I just, in the end, I said, look, at the end of the day, you got your own life. You got yourself a daughter. You got yourself a wife. I respect that. I respect you want to do what you want to do. You go and live somewhere where you want to live. I respect that. I'm not going to be that type of person. And, and he said, that's fine. And I thought that was a bit surprising for him to say that. But then I just blocked him because I don't need that shit. I don't need people to come back to my life and try and reclaim some history or whatever. But shout out to my dad for being an absolute prick, Cheers.
Cheers.
Right. Yeah. I think, sorry, man. I think, we've gone through this COVID-19 thing for a bit too long compared to our music thing now, but I'm sure we can have an extended podcast session where we can just talk a lot of shit, which I did mention Monday, timetable round where we can just have a lot of people, just have a chat session. It doesn't have to be a record podcast, but it could just have a session where we could just talk a lot of shit for hours. More than a Thursday Fast Hub session, but then, it'd be something really cool. I will have to work something out about it, but then I've been told people are keen about it, which I thought that's pretty cool. It could be done on a Monday, because Monday would be my day off and I'll be doing a late session on Tuesday, so that actually works for me. But,
I'll have to check my schedule, but I think I'm free.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic, by any means. Right, so let's go to some music because, many people will probably be thinking, well, we talk a lot about politics for the past, I don't know, almost half an hour, and we need to talk about music, So where did Crimson Shadow come into play? Was it like your idea? Was it some other bandmate's idea?
Well, myself and my brother and my brother is a guitar player for Crimson Shadows,
Cool.
and the other guitar player, Greg,
Mm.
played in a band called Swords of Scorn.
Okay.
And then our vocalist left due to issues with our keyboard player. And
Okay.
anyways, we so during that time we were close friends with another band from Brampton, which is in the Greater Toronto area,
Mm.
called Intensify, and their vocalist, he was like a death metal vocalist, and we always talked like, oh, it'd be super cool. We like Swords of Scorn was like a kind of like a progressive original power metal type of band, but like
Sure.
being from where we are, we could never find a vocalist to do it. So like we could find some like rock style vocalists or like more aggressive guys, but like no one really fit that. Like we wanted that European power metal sound, and we
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
find anybody within our local scene. So we were like, you know what, like fuck this. My brother was writing like a lot faster, a lot of more aggressive. Like his guitar playing kind of like went like doubled within a very quick amount of time. His guitar teacher at the time was actually Glenn Drover, who
Wow.
played in Megadeth, and he actually produced the first Swords of Scorn record,
That's fucking cool,
and
man.
played some solos on it. So when I was able to join that band, I played in Swords of Scorn on bass. Um, anyways, fast forward, our drummer in that band was getting married. We were recording a record, and we decided, all right, we're gonna take a couple months off and record this guy. Fuck all this. We're starting a new band. He
Yeah.
didn't like the new stuff we were playing. It was too fast for him. Like it was it was just too much, and he didn't like it because he didn't have a hand in writing it. We had like 3 songs
Mm.
fully finished, and so we got Greg on board, and then we asked Jimmy, and who was the vocalist for the band Intensify. I was like, let's do Death Power. Jimmy had actually done vocals for Swords of Scorn at a couple shows as death metal, and we're like, fuck, we love this like kind of vibe. It's like super happy and melodic instruments, but then it's like super aggressive and growling vocals. So we kind of we got together and like, all right, let's do Death Power. And then we stole Intensify's guitar player to play bass for us. And we auditioned 3 different drummers. Because I was originally supposed to play bass. That was my instrument at the time. And I just bought like this really nice bass rig and everything. But then I was playing drums for a hardcore band. And then I would jam with my brother, work out drum parts and everything for the songs, and I could just play better than all the people we auditioned. Like they didn't like know what we were doing because it was so European, and
Mm.
it wasn't from this side of the country, and they're very young as well. We were
Sure.
young too, but so I decided like, okay, I got to get better. I just have to get better immediately. I was only playing drums for about a year and a half at that point. And it's like, okay, we've got to play at 200, like start learning Dragon Force songs and like, let's go. So yeah, that's kind of like how everything started. We just, it was 2 bands coming together. We've been through, I think 4 or 5 bass players at this point.
Oh fucking
Um,
hell.
yeah, like they just, bass players just haven't been our
That's
best
crazy,
friends, but
man.
the core group of musicians that made the sound what it was have been there. Jimmy left for a couple years, and he got married and uh, bought a condo and like in Toronto, and he did that whole thing. But now he's back, and we're working on the new record. So
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much. We just wanted to do death metal meets power metal,
No,
like,
that's
or power
very,
metal meets death metal,
yeah,
right?
no, that's a very interesting element. And, as I said earlier, beginning of the podcast, that I have listened to a couple of tracks from Crimson Shadows. It was quite cool. So I'm looking forward to the new music that you guys do. Whenever it releases, I'll definitely give it a listen. I'll leave you some opinions and feedback if you definitely need it. I'm all open to be like a very opinionized person when it comes to like people need some improvement, or just to get an idea what they need.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what's really the fans' expectations now? You mentioned about you guys are trying to play more faster, and now you've reached to that element. Is the expectations that you're going to try and keep it that way from now on, or do you think there's going to be along the road that you're going to probably go for something different and just try to change it a little bit?
Well, this new record is written. We have to finish up a little bit of lyrics here and there. But I'm really excited to write the next record. This new record is kind of combining our first album with our second album. Our second album was our first one on Napalm Records, Kings Among Men.
Yep.
So that one was a little rushed. We played Wacken in Germany as a part of the Wacken Metal Battle, and then like it's big international competition, and we ended up winning that. But so we are in talks with labels and management and this and that. But as soon as we flew from Germany, we flew back to Winnipeg and started a tour. So we were on the road for about 2.5, 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And like I'm talking to people on the phone, like after we're loading in, like it was a very chaotic tour. We knew things were coming. So as soon as we got home from that, we started writing, and we had about 3 months, I think, 3 or 4 months before we hit the studio to record, and we had to produce like a full-length record.
Sure.
So like it was a very stressful time. We had a lot of stuff banked, but we still had to piece it together and write lyrics and do a lot. So this record is, as much as like a lot of people like really enjoy the last record, and I do as well, and but it was this one's a little more thought out. We tried to do bring back some elements from our first album, and also try to progress into other forms. But like every time we write something, it needs to, I always have this phrase, like we need to crimson this riff up, like
Sure.
There's a certain feeling I get. I'm always there when we're writing, even though I don't really play guitar very much. But I tell the guys how to play and what to do. And kind of, I do feel like I'm a big orchestrator of our songs. All three of us, me, Ryan, and Greg, are usually always there when we're writing. So it's this new stuff is, we do have like the fastest stuff we've ever written, and we also have the slowest stuff we've ever written. We have stuff that's has like more like a chanty, like a Mon Amarth style choruses, and then we have stuff that is like super power metal melodic, like happy fun time, like that just makes you want to dance.
Oh, yeah.
So like it's a good mix of everything. I want to really explore more going into the next record, but
Okay.
right now I'm just trying to focus on this one right now, and getting my drum parts as solid as they can be, and making sure our production is as good as it can be. Really, we did just release an EP in March 13th through Napalm, called The Resurrection. First thing we've released in 6 years, and which is insane to me. But yeah, it was 2014 was Kings Among Men, and 2020 now, The Resurrection. And yeah, a long time, man, long time.
That
but
definitely sounds like a long time, man. I mean, definitely.
Yeah, and it's no new music either. Like, anyone listening to this hasn't heard us, not new. It's we re-recorded some songs. We re-recorded "Betrayed by Thy King," which is on our 2007 EP, and then we did 2 covers. One of Dragon Force's "Blackfire," and one of "Against the Wind" by Stradivarius.
Okay.
So we actually recorded all of this. I don't think I've actually told anyone in interviews, but we recorded it in 2015 before we went on tour for like 4 months. We went into the studio. We wanted to do this EP. So we went in, recorded it, and then we were gone for 4 months. And then once we were done the tour, Jimmy, our vocalist, left the band, and we're like, "Well, what the fuck do we do with this EP now?" Like, so we should have just released it then, and but whatever. Hindsight's always
I mean,
2020.
you can just use it to the added addition to the new album. I mean, that's always becomes a beneficial. Like sometimes some bands add these current EPs to add into the new albums, just like an additional money to put into it. So it's like, here's a little extra bonus because you paid for us for this physical copy. There's that added into it, you know. There's always that extra beneficial, you know.
Well, a lot of time, Japan or the Japan release or any Asian territories and stuff will ask for a couple bonus tracks, right?
Yeah.
So we're kind of preparing. I've been thinking about preparing for it, anyways, and seeing what we can do that way. I don't know about adding one of those songs or two of those songs to it, or just re-recording or recording something new.
Yeah.
But we'll see when it actually comes time. Because of everything going on right now, we're kind of we're all kind of settled in, and most of the guys are actually still working. I know my brother and Jimmy, our vocalist, is still working. Alex, our new bass player, is actually an audio engineer. So he has a bunch of mixing and stuff like that. I just heard this week that studios, like music production, everything like that, will start opening up. So hopefully that gets him a little more work. We're actually planning on him tracking all the drums at my house, him engineering and producing for us. Like he actually lived in the UK in London,
really,
and went to school for a year to study audio engineering. So might
cool.
as well make use of that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you got like that experience, you might as well just take it somewhere and live with it, you know, and just try and take the opportunity much as you can. Speaking of yes. So speaking of opportunities, touring wise, obviously you mentioned earlier today how you had tons and tons of touring to be scheduled this year, and obviously it's not happening because this is the reason of the virus situation. But has there been any touring disasters while you've been touring, or there hasn't been any? Like touch wood, you're never gonna get any, and then you're glad you touched the wood because it's not happened.
Disasters? No, but there's been a couple times that things have been rough.
Okay.
With Crimson, we haven't really had anything. We're extremely on top of things when we're on tour to make sure things go as smooth as humanly possible.
Sure.
Like we've had like flat tires or trailer tires blow out, but like we have like a full toolkit in our trailer and a spare tire, and like we're prepared for all of that stuff. Like preparing for the worst is the best way to go about it. So with Crimson, haven't really had any like major disasters through our touring. Now with Johnny No Cash, we've had a couple times that were not so great. We have as a small band, we've still done like a fair amount of flying, and we're not quite as well organized as the Crimson Camp necessarily. We're very different people. But there was one time where I specifically we were playing in St. John's, Newfoundland. The promoter messed up my name on the return flight. So he had to change the name. He caught it like beforehand, but when we went to fly, the three other guys were on like one ticket together, and then I was separate. So when we got there, they had oversold the flight, and they saw me as a single passenger and said, "Hey, could you stay an extra day?" And I was like, "Dude, no, like I need to get home." They're like, "We're good. We'll give you $1,200." And I'm like, yes, 100%, I can stay. Yeah, no problem. Like,
Take the money
and
and
so they,
regret the decision afterwards. I like the idea.
yeah, I just called my boss and I'm like, listen, I can't make it in until Monday. Well, I don't think I was supposed to. I was gonna be getting in Monday at like 7 a.m. or something,
Hmm.
our time.
Yeah, yeah.
So but then the next day I proceeded like, man, I got a free like $1,200. So me and the promoter that I was staying with just went to town and like bar hopped, and like I was paying
Oh,
for everything. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever, it's all good, man. Like I got you. Like he flew us out and like did so much work. Like he was such an amazing person that I wanted to give him a good time. But then
yeah.
at the end of the night, I was like, okay, I'm going to head to the airport in about an hour. I'm just going to take a little snooze. And he's like, all right, I'm going to stay up, make sure that you get up. We both ended up falling asleep and I missed my flight.
Oh, fucking hell.
So then I was stuck there for 2 full days. I did end up getting on the phone with them and getting a free flight back. So that wasn't a big issue, but it was a full 24 hours later. That's the only time like I can remember that I like came home and my girlfriend was like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I'm like, okay, honey, yeah, you're right. Like I fucked up. But whatever.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about just like we're humans. Stuff like this happens, day to day, and
Yeah.
it would tend to happen. Like a little story of mine. I don't tour with any bands, but I went to see Blood Red Throne back in 2000 and I think it was 2014. So let's just say 2014. So I saw Blood Red Throne play in London. It was cool. I got to see them. We were good friends at the time. I don't really keep in touch with them anymore, but I still support them regardless. At one time, most of the guys that asked me to stay with them in the tour van until they had to go to fly in the airport from London, stranded about 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning. So overnight, I was saying I can't do it because I have to make sure I get back home, make sure I just get myself sorted for the work or whatever I was doing, just make sure I take the responsibility. And at the end of the day, of the night of the show, they dragged me into the van. We gone to the nearest bar, and I thought I'm not going to go in there because there's no point for me to go to the bar. I didn't drink at the time, and my mental health was starting to go a little bit over the roof of my head, so I was starting to panic a little bit. So I got to know funny enough, all the management of the rental fan and the promoter management as well. So I thought, it's quite cool. They're quite chill. They wasn't drinking. One of them was driving, and one of them had to make sure everyone's safe. And funny enough, like one of the dudes from Blood Red Throne slept in the top of the fan, and we was trying to drive, and he couldn't get off the fan, and then they almost got late with their flight, and it was so stressful. And then I don't know where I got dropped off. I think it was in Basingstoke. And then I had to get the train all the way back to home. And then it was just like, it was a nightmare. I mean, I love having that experience of making sure I just hang out with the bad mates or anything. But you got to have a backup plan just in case if you have any, let's just say, situations where you just get dragged in, kind of like kidnapped in the van, and then you just can't do anything about it until they actually go to the airport, just get the next flight or whatever. But
there is one other time that I forgot about, and that's when Crimson Shadows was on tour. We did a whole Canadian tour out to Armstrong, British Columbia, to play Armstrong Metal Fest, and then we toured back to Winnipeg and did a show there, and tried to go down through North Dakota, and then we were meeting up with Battlecross and New York band called Ikilia.
Okay.
And we were supporting Battlecross on this tour, and we had 14 dates lined up with them through the East Coast that would take us down to Florida and then back up and through Canada. And we got denied at the border of North Dakota.
Wow.
Coming down from Manitoba. And it was just that was probably like the biggest like upset that I've ever experienced, because that was 1 month before our record was coming out.
Shit.
Battlecross was really on the up then. Like they were still touring for Will of Power, and it was or Will of War, their second record. And then like it was like the hugest upset, and we had to drive home from Winnipeg 27 hours back to Toronto.
Jesus
With and we were supposed to be on tour for another 2.5 weeks, and then we sat there for a week and a half, and it was like, okay, now we're gonna do the Quebec City show, the Montreal show, the Toronto show, and then we were able to, I want to say we were able to do the Detroit show after that as well, but I'm not sure. It was stupid though. We still did the Canadian dates, but like, and the whole, like, I hate the border in the U.S., man. Like it's just silly. Like we don't have any issues except for the country that we border. You know, like I can fly to Germany or the U.K. and like anywhere, and everything's fine. Like they don't question it. They're excited to have us. But the States is like, you're taking jobs away from our people. You know, like an American band could be doing this, you know? I'm like, yeah, they could be, but they're not, because we got asked to do it by 2 American bands. Like, can you just please accept that? Like, and just let us cross the border? Like,
Jesus.
Our manager at the time was American from Michigan. She was
Really?
Battlecross's manager as well. Like, so it was just, like, that was the most frustrating. That was the most silent. Like, I think we tried to drive as straight through as we could. Like just straight home, and like that was the saddest, most depressing drive. 27 hours, or probably close to 30 hours that we ever did. Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, so I would just ask a tour advice, or like for anyone that is going to be doing any touring when this whole thing happens. Any pro tips? I would say probably just avoid the border as much as possible, you know. And then for all the bands that they don't get the stress like you guys did, and don't get the disappointment like you guys did, because I know for a fact there would be.
Make sure you have your paperwork in order, and like right tight in order. Because like after that we did tour the States the next year, and like it was a little different because like all our paperwork was like fucking pristine, you know, like everything, we had everything that was needed. And so if you're going to tour and you're crossing borders, especially going into the States, make sure you have your visas. In general, just as like a tour thing.
Yep.
Baby wipes are a big thing. Not bringing too much shit, you know, like be prepared to do laundry. And if you can, be prepared to cook your own food. I think that's like, we tour in a van with a trailer, so we always have a barbecue, and be prepared to get shit from literally everybody. Like we stop at truck stops and we bust out our barbecue, and literally like we've been driving for 10 hours and we're stopping and we're cooking a couple burgers, eating, going to sleep, and in like 5 hours we're out of there, you know, and still have guys coming out like, this isn't a fucking campground and this and that. I'm like, dude, just go back inside. I'm gonna fucking murder you because we've been on the road for 10 hours and we have to play a show tomorrow. All right, like, you know, like it's just sometimes shit gets crazy.
Yeah, of course.
But and just try to give everyone their space. At the end of the day, I know it's supposed to be fun, party, everything like that, but everybody is different and everyone accepts things differently. And sometimes people just, they need their alone time. They need to give them an hour a day, at least an hour a day, to just walk off, go explore, go see something. And if they want you to join, they'll ask you, you know. But it's like, give people their space, because you're trapped in a van with them. and you're on stage with them and you're backstage with them. You're always around them. So if you can give them your space, like just give them a little time alone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really bad for that because I love the camaraderie. I love it. I love the people that I'm around. Like we're all in this together. I want them with me every second of the day.
Oh yeah,
Like I want
absolutely.
to, like I feel that I feed off it. But I think that's one thing that in the past I didn't allow people that space, and it pushes them away more than it brings them closer.
Yeah.
So like let people do their thing, and then baby wipes, and don't bring too much shit. Don't bring too much shit.
Oh
Some people
man.
just bring like 3 luggage things, and I'm like, what are you doing? You need like a week's worth of stuff,
Yeah,
and then we'll do
at
laundry.
least a week. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
10 days.
oh
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure.
We're on tour for a month and a half. Bring 10 days worth of stuff, man. We'll do laundry. It's fine. Bring show clothes. Don't wear your regular ass clothes on stage. Bring
Mm.
specific clothes to wear on stage. Then you take them off after and you hang them up. And then you put those dirty, greasy fucking things on the next day.
Yep,
Stage clothes.
that's always helpful. I've definitely seen bandmates that do have a specific clothing, and they
Mm-hmm.
just take it off quick as possible when they finish, and they have a shower, then they can go to their regular clothing, just relaxed clothes. It's always nice to have that feeling. I'm going to ask you one more question before we go to plug-in shoutouts and then pretty much finish the podcast. Once this whole COVID-19 gets out of the way, when you guys go back to touring, is there going to be any tour wish list that you guys want to achieve in the next couple of years or even months when this whole thing is done?
For Crimson, we really want to get back to Europe. We did one European tour with Ailstorm and Brainstorm
Oh,
when
nice.
in 2014, right as Kings Among Men was being released.
Mm.
So when we release this new record, we would really, really like to get back to Europe, and also hit the UK, because when I look at our stats on like Spotify or any streaming service, UK is at least in the top like 3 or 4,
Oh, really?
and we've never played in the UK before.
Mm.
So it's like definitely doing something in the UK,
Mm.
getting back to Europe and doing some festivals. That's our biggest focus as far as touring. We're not really looking at touring heavily. We did have several festivals booked for the summer, which have been canceled. A lot more locally, but like we're
Sure.
we're trying to get back out there and playing more shows and playing more often than we have. But definitely Europe is the biggest thing. That's our biggest market by
Mm.
far. And especially around a release, we need to get back out there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for Crimson Shadows, that's definitely it. For Johnny No Cash, we're trying to reschedule the tour that we had just canceled, which was through Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and out to St. John's, Newfoundland, and back. But what we want to make it a little bigger. So we're in talks with another band. I'm not going to say who they are, but we play Death Country and they play Thrash Grass.
Nice.
So that combination, I think we've done some shows together before and it worked fantastic.
Mm.
And we think that this combination could really set off. And we want to get back to the States, and we haven't been to the States. We want to do like an Eastern North American run, and then also take them over to Europe and
Mm.
do some stuff over there. So both bands will have a lot to do once things start opening up again. And hopefully we can make enough money that I can pay my mortgage. Because I'd really love to just do music for a living and not have to actually go back to work.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to, try to get some profit on my podcast, but obviously that's going to put a lot of work and dedication I mean, anything could happen. In the next year, I could probably get like an agreement by, I don't know, Spotify to get some income, but obviously the income is a little bit different on the contract compared to, let's say, YouTube. You never know. You might get some
For sure.
contracts or stuff like that, and you will get a good income. But all the dedication, all the hard work, like Matt McKeechee from Cryptopsy and Fox and Harps, he's got the big recognition. He does a lot of interviews, and obviously he's on a lot of episodes. So he does all the hard work and the dedication. So it's got to be something like I need to put into consideration if I want to do this for a long time. And obviously, I need to make friends with a lot of musicians and do a lot of interview sessions. So,
There you go, man. Yeah, and Matt also has his wife that
Jessica.
is a huge part of Vox and Hops that,
She is.
maybe she doesn't get all the credit that she deserves, but I think that she is a huge part of it, and why his podcast is presented so professionally. Like when Matt originally was telling me about how he wanted to start doing it, I was one of the guys who's like, do it, man. Absolutely, 100%. I think this is a great idea. And I want to be on it. And finally, it hasn't been released yet, but we did do an interview 2 weeks ago, and he told me he had already done 20 interviews in the last 2 weeks previous.
It's just crazy, man.
Oh man, and he's telling me he just gets drunk and messages, but like, dude, pretty much that's what I did. Like, I got drunk and I was like, Matt, we gotta do an interview. Like, I'm bored here, Like, I think this is the 5th interview that I've done.
Oh wow!
Since quarantine, and 3 years before that, I think I maybe did 5 in 3 years, and now I've done 5 in like 2 months.
That's ridiculous.
So,
I think,
love it.
Yeah, I love it. Shout out to Jessica. I think Jessica does a lot of hard work for Matt, especially behind the scenes when it comes to Fox and Hubs. But also, Jessica does what's it called now? A child book online. She did something like that online on YouTube. I thought it was an amazing book. I'm not like a teacher or anything like that, but if anybody that does watch this and want to read or support Jessica's work, I'll leave a link down in the description so people can look at the video and be like, just give the kid to read this while they got something to do. So yeah, shout out to Jessica, shout out to Matt. Matt does a lot of work, and obviously I can't wait for the new Cryptopsy album when it comes out, but obviously that's when the right time comes.
Yeah, and Jessica does do a lot of work behind the scenes when Matt has drank too much.
Yeah.
So shout out to her for dealing with that, because I know my girlfriend has to deal with that shit too, and it ain't easy.
No, I can imagine, and I've got to say shout out to myself because I had to try and make sure I look after myself if I was drunk or not, and good thing I don't drink that much at all. But if I ever come to Canada, I definitely want to hit up with everybody, have a good couple of days drinking, get to know all of you, because it would be an absolute privilege, especially when I've been joining the Fox and Harps Head Thursday sections on the Thursday night, over a month now, and fucking hell, a month, Jesus, I never thought of that. Wow. Time flies, basically, and it's amazing. So we're about to finish this podcast, but we have an opportunity where we can do plug-in for shout-outs for bands that deserve a recognition, an opportunity to get a bigger fan base, even if it's like one new fan, that all matters on this podcast. Cory, I'll let you to have the opportunity to go first to give people an idea of who they should listen to when it comes to shout-outs.
So like you're talking like new, more underground bands or something. People
let's go with that. Yes. Right?
So my buddies in Colliderus, they're releasing a new record on May 22nd, I believe. So I think that's next week.
Next week, guys. You heard it.
Next week. Colliderus. This involves members of Annihilator, nice. Suffocation, Black Crown Initiate, and the guitar player is also the bass player for Unleash the Archers.
Okay.
Like it's really all over the map. Fantastic, really interesting. I've listened to the new record. I'm a big fan of their first record, Party Grind, and this is called The After Party. They've been streaming it, I believe, on Decibel
Okay.
Magazine's website. Man, these guys are all insanely talented, and if you haven't heard their first record, check it out. But their new record is really heavy, really fast. Just it's a whole new animal of what they're doing. They're not regurgitating anything. They're just producing the most intense death grind chaotic party music that I've ever heard. And just think about it, like Annihilator, Suffocation, Black Crown, like their guitar player actually played bass for Crimson Shadows for a few tours as well. Ricardo Matrice, shout out, love you. Yeah, man, their new record's gonna kill it. Another band that's a little more local. They're from Ottawa, Ontario. Another band that I used to play for is Lotharo, from Hamilton. They released a new EP called Wings. I want to say it's Wings of Destiny, but I think it's something different, and I really feel bad now. But they released a new EP, and it is killer. I played on their first EP that they released, and my buddy Kale, he filled in on drums for this new record because I wasn't available, and it was just it's amazing how this band's progressed. From I remember when their guitar player gave me a demo CD and was like, "Hey, like check us out," and I listened to it and I was like, "What is going on right now? Like these guys have no idea what they're doing," and then seeing them progress over the years and with this new record having it's so mature. As a band, I really hope they start on a full length and really push into the mainstream, because I see them being becoming a big deal as far as like the Ontario and Canadian music scene is considered. They're very underground at this point, but I really hope labels start paying attention to them because they're doing something. Chris's vocals going from like extreme gutturals to like Unleash the Archer style clean vocals, and it's really great, thrashy, melodic, a little bit of death in there, and it's really cool how they mix genres. So those would probably be my two my two go-to on the more Ontario local scene, with stuff out now and coming out next week. So yeah, man.
Nice.
If you want more, I can probably keep going with what I'm listening to, but we could be here for hours.
We could be, but then what you could do when you have the time, just give me a list of people. Just like I could just leave it down in the description, and then people could just have the time just to click on their URLs or whatever, just go through it when they got their own time. And,
Absolutely, man. I can definitely do that. I'll send you a list of bands and we'll put it in the description of this.
Fantastic. So
Sure.
if you're done, then I'm going to do my list, and then, we're going to call this a done. I'm going to give a first shout out to Internal Bleeding. They are from the US. They play pretty much a very slammy death metal genre. They're very cool. They do a smoking session on a Monday, I think, if it's correct, with Chris, the guitarist, and I think it's the other Chris, the guitarist as well. So there's kind of like two Chris's. But yeah, they definitely do like a entire bladed smoking session. And shout out to Steve, the vocalist. He's a very cool dude who's got like a Black Sabbath tattoo on his head. You know, I thought that was fucking weird. But hey, shout out to you, Steve. You fucking crazy bastard. Next band I'm gonna give a shout out to is Blood Incarnation. I don't know what I have to say about this band because, you know, they have progressively, for some reason, they went from a small band to become a big known band. The first album I heard was Starspawn, the EP, and I was blown away from their material. And I was a big fan ever since. And obviously they've done the latest album, if I can remember the album's name, which I can't, so I'm going to have to quickly check on Spotify. The latest EP or album per se, it's really good. It's got a lot of bit of everything. You know, it can take you to a time-consuming line. It's called Hidden History of the Human Race. It's really, really good. It's got 5 songs in it. No, 4 songs, sorry. And if anybody's got the spare time for almost 40 minutes, go and listen to Blood Incarnation, Hidden History of the Human Race. It's fucking awesome. Shout out to Victorial. Victorial are fucking amazing. They are from, if I can remember as well, they're from the States, if not in Canada. Mike, the guitarist, if I remember correctly, he is a friend of mine, and, you know, I'm not going to spoil much, but I am looking forward to have an interview session with Mike. I shouldn't have said anything, but I just did. But Victorial are fucking awesome. I've been a big fan of them since the EP, and people were not very aware of them until they released the album, including the EPs in there. And I said to people, I told you so. You're going to fucking love this band. And I was proven right. So Victorial, if nobody's heard of Victorial, definitely give Victorial a listen. A band I'm going to shout next is called Stillbirth. They're from Germany. I've been very good friends with them for a couple of years now, but they have got a new album coming out in summer. I can't reveal any details because I don't know any details, but I know for a fact that it's coming out in summer. And let's put it this way, when the tour comes and all these festivals come, Stillbirth are likely going to be doing a lot of shows next year, and I assure you it's going to include a lot from that new album. I heard the teaser is fucking cool, so I think it's going to be a good thing. The next shout out I'm going to do is Proposed Mortal Possession. They are really good guys. They got a new album coming out very soon. Shout out to Jake because he's a fucking nasty vocalist, you know, and I am looking forward to the new album they got coming out soon. So Post Mortal Possession. And then the last band I'm going to do a shout out to is Inquidious Steeds. They're from the States as well. So most of the bands are coming from America or Canada, you know, because they got a good fucking music scenery over there compared to the UK, which I'm fucking jealous of. Yeah, Inquidious Deeds. Nico, from his spare time, he does a lot of fucking spacey alien artwork, and he does a fucking magnificent job. He's done a, I don't know if you are friends with him, but he did a big art piece of sculpture of one of the alien queens, like basically an alien just coming from like using it as a piece. I'll send you a photo of it. It looks realistic as fuck, and it's basically got like all the veins, all just the details are so fucking cool, man.
Yeah, send me it, man.
But the Inquidious Deed, it's got a new album going to be written, and then it's going to be out. I'm realistically going to probably say maybe in the next 2-3 years, but I'm going to definitely look forward to it. It's really, really catchy album they did not long ago. But yeah, Inquidious Deeds, I'm fucking looking forward to that new album. But yeah,
excellent, man.
I think this is going to be the end of the podcast. I have really, really enjoyed having this session with you, Cory. I think it's been more than an hour and 20 minutes, but it's been fucking worth it.
I think we could have gone for like 3-4 hours, really.
Yeah.
Like,
I
hell, dude.
mean, for sure, we could definitely do a session where we could just do that for 3 or 4 hours, where we don't have to do a podcast. But I'm
Hmm.
definitely up to have more conversations with you, and I'm sure you'll be likely to do more attendance to Fox and Hub's Thursday sessions. I'm going to do a little quick shout out to Fox and Harps, shout out to Matt because he puts the hard work into it. Definitely he's done this Thursday thing out of his own mind, and he's got a lot of people involved, including ourselves.
Absolutely,
I got
man.
to know you from the Fox and Harps Thursday sections.
Hmm.
You're definitely one of the few people, and I'm really appreciate the fact that we're friends. And whenever this whole thing comes into out of our hands, I would love to come to Canada, have a couple of beers with you. See your missus as well. See a lot of people from the session as well. I will not get drunk. I will say that as a
We will
disclaimer.
make sure you get drunk. All right.
Ah,
We'll
man.
take you to the English pubs that we have in Toronto, and we'll get all wasted on red ale or IPAs or whatever you want. It'll be great. It'll
IPAs are
be a
completely
great
fine
time.
with me.
Don't worry, we'll get you some session IPAs. It'll be fine. Low
Fantastic.
percentage.
Funny
Yeah.
enough, I had I met someone from Instagram. He said he was going to give me a lot of IPA craft beers from Canada, and I thought this is a little bit bizarre because I mentioned it to Matt on the Vox and Half Thirsty section. I think it was this past week, and Matt was like, "Where the fuck do you get this information from?" And I'm like, "Fuck if I know."
Fuck it, I don't
I
know.
don't
People
know, man.
message me. I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
this guy, he said, if you give me 25 Canadian dollars, I can give you good beer, only if it's legal to deliver it. Because you don't want to deliver things
Mhm.
that are likely to be, well, illegal, for example. And I don't think it's illegal, but he said he's going to look into details or something like that for sure.
I don't know if you can ship from Canada to the UK alcoholic beverages. I don't know
Mm,
if you can do that.
I
So
don't know.
look into it because I know that a band I used to play for, they started like a Kickstarter, and part of it was like a home brew being or home brewed mead being shipped to other countries and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and they ran into a ton of problems.
Mm,
They're an independent band, so
fucking
anyways.
hell.
But yeah, so look into that before you just start sending money to a guy.
Oh, I
Absolutely.
know, I know.
Yeah.
I'm very hard to trust people at the moment because obviously not just this whole COVID-19
Hmm.
situation, but it becomes a mental health type of perspective where you gotta be wise to who you're friends with, who you can trust. And at this day, with this sessions, I'm starting to know more people, and I'm very happy with it. I can't. My mind hasn't changed for the second I've got to know you, or I've got to know Evan. I got to know Yolan. Hashtag Yolan the boy. The boy Yolan. He will understand what he means, and he will probably pick up for fuck's sake, not this shit.
All great dudes, man. Like
All
everyone
great
I've
dudes.
met through, and I hope to connect with more of the Vox and Hops crew, like
Mm,
we have connected today,
yes.
because I know they're all great people, but I just end up getting so fucking wasted whenever we do these Thirsty Thursday things. So I'm gonna try to post more on the Thursday Thursday page
Mm,
and become more involved because I
yes.
knew everybody's so fantastic, and
Absolutely.
it's a great team that Matt is kind of assembled,
Oh no,
you know.
absolutely. And I said to Matt, I would have loved it if he did it on a Wednesday. Obviously, the name would have been different, but the reason I say Wednesday is because I do a late shift. I come back home about, let's say, 11 o'clock in the night. Oh, Thursday, Wednesday comes on at 1 a.m. on Thursday morning, and it's just that would be my day off. I'll be happy, but it's a tough
What
situation.
what if we just did a new one called Whiskey Wednesdays where we all just drink different whiskeys earlier though? So we started at like what time do you get off work?
Let's just say I finish about 10 o'clock, get home about 11. Just safe to say.
Okay, so even if we started it at midnight your time, that
Yeah.
would be about 9 o'clock our time,
Yeah,
right?
that
Yeah.
well, it would
So
roughly be like maybe 9ish or maybe 7ish. I don't know, but I'll definitely look into
it'd
it for
be
sure.
nine Eastern Standard Time, which is Montreal, Toronto, Quebec, Ontario is Eastern Standard Time, so it'd be 9. So yeah, hey, let's do that. Whiskey. We'll start up a new thing, just us,
Yes, yes.
or just drink whiskey together.
Matt will probably think, "Why are you betraying us?" Well, we're not really betraying you. I said to you we should have done this Wednesday thing, but you did not listen to me, Matt. But
It's fine. Fuck them.
exactly. But yeah,
That'll be good.
yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I think this is the end of the podcast now, and all I gotta say to Cory, it's been an absolute privilege to have this session with you. I definitely do not.
Likewise.
I definitely do not know how long this has been, but it's definitely been the longest session I have done so far.
Well,
Definitely the
my bottle
longest.
of whiskey is done, so I need to go now and have a cigarette and hopefully run to the store before it closes.
But yeah, definitely message me and definitely keep me in touch. Definitely give me a list of the bands that you want to recommend to people, and then I can likely publish it tomorrow morning. But yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely, my friend. It's been great chatting, and we'll talk soon.
likewise.
Cheers.
Cheers, bro.